directions, right? Where like winners and losers of the health and wellness industry, let's pick like 5 to 10 years out. What do you see as the biggest transitions? What do you see as like where everything is going and going to be the biggest industries and changes within the health and wellness industry? Sarah, you can start again if you want.
Sounds great. So for the winners, I would say the mental health industry are going to be those that have adapted and those that are providing excellent and effective virtual client care. I would say that the ones that are a bit unfortunate are the ones that are still practicing in the offices, the ones that aren't accepting insurance, the ones that are using complicated technologies, and the ones that have a lot of medical billing issues, because especially right now and when obviously the market has had a correction, people are a bit more tight with money than usual, and if they notice a huge bill from your organization, it's going to be extremely off-putting. So I think that accurate medical billing is also extremely important, and that the winners make sure that they have processes and procedures in place.
Oh, Sarah, you cut out there.
Oh.
Yeah, we had someone come on that wasn't muted.
Okay. Do you want me to start over again?
I think just that last part we missed.
Oh, the last part was in regards to the winners are going to make sure that billing is done accurately. They're providing affordable rates for clients that aren't able to afford services, and the losers are going to be ones that have potentially historically been able to get away with sloppy medical billing, but I don't really think patients are going to be okay with that, especially right now, because there has been a correction in the marketplace. A lot of people are stressed out financially, and to have a huge medical bill from a mental health service or really any type of medical company is going to be extremely off-putting for people, especially now. So it's quite important to have the proper procedures and policies in place so your team can identify if there's any sort of medical or financial issue so it can be corrected in advance.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you're in the right industry for sure.
Right time, taking the right action. That's what it's all about.
No doubt. Ross, do you want to share your predictions?
Absolutely. So when you look at the winners and the losers in health and wellness, I think that there are some clear winners that they kind of had an unfair advantage going into this. I mean, you look at a company like Peloton, it's like their whole business model, they were built for COVID. It's like people need to work out, all the gyms are closed. What are they going to do? I mean, their stock went through the roof. So there are companies that clearly going into this had a distinct advantage. But overall, though, I think what's going to determine the winners and the losers are what we were talking about before, which is the companies that are quick to react, companies that are quick to be flexible and pivot and embrace change. And so the companies that are going to really win are the ones that are, if you're in the restaurant world, you're embracing deliveries, you're embracing technologies. I think overall the losers are going to be the ones who are too slow or too overly corporate, and they move very slowly and they're slow to react. They're the ones who are going to, be scathed here. And then you look at also, I think there's also there's a branding image that people like Mark Cuban have said how a company reacts during the COVID is going to go on to define them for decades. I mean, so you kind of look at even an amazing company like Shake Shack, how they took 20 million in PPP money. They ended up having to return it because can you imagine if they didn't return it? All small business owners would literally boycott them and hate them. And so they were smart to return that money. And then you look at other companies like Ruth Chris, and people are going to be looking at these companies a lot differently. How a company kind of reacted and how they take care of their employees when COVID hit. I think a lot of that is going to go on to define a company's reputation, even after things start to normalize. So I think there's a lot of different layers as to what clearly defines the winners and the losers. I think a lot of the major companies, like they're going to be fine. I mean, you look at a company like Equinox, like their business completely closed down. They just stopped paying rents. I mean, what are the landlords going to do? Those are huge spaces. Who else are going to take those spaces, right? They're going to be fine. So they stopped getting their revenue from their members. All their memberships are on pause. They just stopped paying rents, and then they're going to go on and just work things out and do deals with their landlords. So a lot of the big guys are going to be fine. The unfortunate grim reality is the losers are really going to be the small mom and pops that they didn't really have many options when their business took a hit. They had trouble getting financing, and the unfortunate grim reality, it's the small mom and pops that are really going to get hurt from this. But I think ultimately it comes back to, when this happens, if your business is affected, you got to be creative. You got to be fast to react. You got to leverage technology, as we talked about. And if you don't know what to do, you got to ask for help. And that's why these types of seminars are so important, because people can maybe get some ideas like, oh, equity crowdfunding. I didn't even think that was an option. Maybe that's a viable option for my business. That's why these types of things are so helpful for business owners.
Yeah, those are great insights, Ross. Thank you so much for that. I think you're spot on, man. I honestly, I agree with everything that you've been saying, and it's super relevant too. David, do you want to share your predictions?
Yeah, definitely. So the winners, if we want to look at winners and losers, but the winners are patients. In the digital healthcare system, the patient's going to be empowered, more knowledgeable, to have opportunity to be more engaged and more involved. And that's a trickle-down effect. The losers are the systems that don't adjust and meet the needs of the people. Healthcare specifically is imploding, and those changes have to be met to meet the people. It's going to be very much patient-centric healthcare system. So the patients are the winners, and whoever doesn't adopt is going to lose. I do believe that prior to COVID, for me, telehealth was, as I mentioned earlier, trending, a little bit of a fad. I think there's a battle, what they call a land grab going on. There's so many telehealth providers, and there's restrictions around access to certain states to provide that practice. But when you look at services like Sara, like that's a sticky business that will stay, and it's very comfortable to have that type of service via telehealth. But I'm speaking more from a primary care perspective, that the institutions, the providers are losing patients to remote telehealth organizations. And the relationship is really with establishing primary care. So the provider institution, health institutions have to fight back against the remote telehealth organizations to keep their patients, keep that money in-house, so to speak, and keep their doctors in-house. And as such, they will begin to implement more, and COVID's pushing them to do that faster. They don't have the leg up like a standalone telehealth does. So there's going to be a battle in that space. There's going to be a drop-off that don't survive. The providers will survive because they're the incumbent, but I think there has to be a better mutual relationship between the two, that some of the primary care services can easily be done with a telehealth exchange network, and that you flow into an in-person visit is needed. So that's how I see things shaking out over, and due to COVID, like this won't take as long as it should, but, and then you also have the EMR, Epic, Cerner as such, they're going to lose out. Maybe not monetarily, they make good money, but they're going to lose out because of new legislation laws around information blocking. They cannot block access from digital apps like ours or from others to gain patient information when patient consents giving. So it's really going back to empowering the patient and helping them have a better experience with their physicians.